Hello, welcome to Star Wars Spelt Out. I'm your host, Josh Chapman, and today's I've got 5 on it, 5 Andors down, and for the first time since we've been doing this, we've got more than one guest host. I can't believe it that Catherine is going to have to share the gushing with someone else here. Hello, Catherine. How you going?
It's fantastic. It's so good. It's just so good.
All right, well, let's move on from you. We already know what you're going to say about this. Let's bring him on, a former guest of the show, our good friend, the man, the big cheese at Star Walking. It's true, all of it, podcast, all those things. Dale Willaims, how you going, buddy?
I'm fantastic. And you know what? I can't help myself. It's all about the cereal.
Nope.
Let's start with the bad puns. Take it from there, hey?
Oh, dear. So this episode, Andor, number 5, what was it called? The Sharp Axe? The something axe? Catherine, did you catch the episode title?
Yeah. So I'm on my second watch through. Yeah, there was something about an axe. I really didn't take it in. I'm bad. Bad, Catherine.
I have made a note of it somewhere. The axe forgets. There it is. Which doesn't really tell you anything about. I mean, maybe it's a bit deep. Maybe it's a bit Tony Gilroy deep, sort of, it's got a lot of meanings
Deep
kind
cut.
of thing going on.
But the axe forgets, but the tree remembers.
Ah, that's what it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because they were talking about how they had both been doing time. All right, we're going to jump all over the shop here on here. But, yeah. Oh, look, this felt like it was, let's just raise the tension. Just as, let's just up the stakes and up the tension as far as we can, basically, until we get to the sort of the next action, the action sequence in the next one. Is that kind of how it felt for you guys?
Yeah, ratcheting it all up. So the interpersonal tension in the group on Aldani is, it's at absolute boiling point. And then, you can feel Mon Mothma just getting tense, and even Luthen, like, waiting it out. Oh, God, it's so tense. So all I was thinking throughout that episode was, this is prestige TV. Like, this is like your Breaking Bad. This had better get so many nominations at everything. Nominate for Oscars. I don't care.
You're chasing tin already, Catherine. Oh, my goodness. I mean, this is another episode that only exists in a 12-episode structure, doesn't it? Like if it was another Star Wars show, Andor would land on that planet and he'd be like, tell me the plan, and they'd be off, and you know what I mean? Like there wouldn't be all the inter-character sort of building of relationships and sort of playing out the tension and the personal interplays. What about you, Dale? Could you handle the tension?
Oh, look, when you start an episode with Khan and his mum, like...
disappointed mum? Were you just having flashbacks to your own disappointed mums?
You know what? I just didn't know that I wanted a Star Wars The Nanny crossover. But here it is, and I'm happy.
I thought it was more
She's fantastic.
Like George Costanza when he goes home to his parents.
Even down to the stereotypical Jewish mother pushing the plate in front of him to eat more.
Eat his blue cereal with his blue milk. It's nice that's just like, and I think it's been pretty much established now that that's pretty much how milk is in the galaxy. It's not just like a Tatooine thing where it's like, well, we're in the desert so that we just drink whatever and the milk is blue. Like there's been a few places now where it seems like that's just like milk. Like if you just went to Woolies, all the milk would be blue.
Yeah. And the blue noodles. Yeah.
What was the blue Big M flavour?
Blueberry.
Oh. I'm sure we've had some or Blue Heaven. I know my dad loves a Blue Heaven milkshake.
Is that blueberry though? Is that what its flavour is?
I don't know.
I think it's just some nasty additive.
It's just something blue and nasty. It just goes well with your off-brand Aldi Cocoa Pops or whatever he was eating there.
You know he's just going to strangle her at some point in the next couple of episodes and casually walk out of that apartment.
So has he been sacked completely? Did he get the total sack? Is that what they're inferring? Like, he doesn't have a job. He's been sacked completely from the corporate security thing, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm. He's got no prospects, Josh.
Yeah. No, I just kind of felt like, I didn't feel like at the end of the last episode, maybe it was hinted on when he sort of showed up at his mum's place that, you know, he's in deep trouble and they kind of got a chewing out, but I didn't realise he'd actually sort of lost his job. Not surprising.
Not fair.
No, not fair. Because this is the thing, like, even though he's on the hunt for Cassian, technically he was going, okay, there's been a murder, let's find the murderer.
He's just doing his job.
He was explicitly told by his superior to not do that, though.
Yeah,
and then he went and did it and got a bunch of people killed. So
but,
we've all been there.
But, you know, if this was, you know, a movie, you know, your normal Hollywood movie, he'd be the cop who decided to go against, you know, status quo to bring someone to justice.
Oh, so he's the Riggs. He's the Riggs. He's the Martin Mel Gibson Riggs of Lethal Weapon of this show. You reckon?
Yeah.
Can I say how impressed I am with your voiceover voice there, Catherine? That's a real vintage 80s voiceover for an action film.
Oh, you know, I grew up in the era of VHS, my friend.
In a world. Yeah, he's an interesting one, isn't it? So he basically gets home. I mean, it was kind of weird because there was, like, he starts the episode, right? And he's basically there and he's like, you know, he gets up and he's sort of in his room and then he's having breakfast with his mum and his mum's chewing him out. And then we go to all this plot and, like, there's you know, all the other characters and stuff that goes through, and then it's the next day. And then they cut back to him effectively after a day had passed in the other plot. And I'm going, is this just the same day, or has he just gotten up in the morning and she's basically just at him for the same stuff the next morning, and he's just gone through an entire day of it and he's sat down for his couch choculates the next morning and he's basically just getting the same. Like, I didn't look close enough to see whether they were wearing the same clothes or anything, but I like to think that this is just like every morning he gets up and he gets chewed out the same way.
It feels like, yeah, this is every morning that he gets up, he gets that 5 seconds of sunlight in his room, you know, as sun, you know, moving through behind all the skyscrapers, and then he has to start his day and get told off by his mother for disappointing him. And the second time round we hear her talking about the conversation with, was it Uncle Helix?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who's disappointed as well.
Yeah.
And she also calls about, like, calling in a favour to get him a job or something as well too.
Yeah.
Look, Khan he's just a man lacking a bit of love. The right person standing beside him and life would change.
He should have gone to that space brothel with those blokes at the start, and he might have been a little bit, you know.
Exactly.
He might have avoided a lot of trouble. He might have, you know,
released some tension.
Yeah. So it's just interesting at the end. So do you think he's basically looking at that hologram of Cassie and of kind of like, this is the guy who's the bane of my existence, whose fault it is that I'm in the predicament I'm in? Or is it, I want to be him because he spared me and, you know.
No, I think Cassian Andor is his white whale, to bringing the Moby Dick analogy.
Yep.
Redemption.
Yep.
Yep.
We'll just jump between storylines as we see fit here. We get back to Mon Mothma's. No dinner party. So that didn't happen.
See this dinner party.
So that was a little bit of a bummer because I was fully expecting that they would just jump straight into that, but that wasn't the case. But we basically just got snarky teenage girl time.
Oh.
So that was
like, as if like, Mon Mothma's hunty husband wasn't enough. Like, and now we've got a daughter as well that's got attitude.
And they're both kind of in cahoots of just like, mum's just a pain.
Yeah.
Why can't, you could be
Dale
cool like dad.
with
That's okay. I don't think we've ever had anybody drop a C-bomb on this podcast before, but here we go.
See you next Tuesday. Wow.
I'm going to have to
this is why I don't get invited on podcasts anymore.
We'll see if anybody notices. Yeah, I was watching that with Kat, and we just sort of looked at each other and I went, yeah, we're going to have 2 teenage girls in the next, in 10 years' time. So that's going to be, that's going to be interesting. But
how's hubby? Like, we've had, like, genocidal maniacs, dark lords, child killers, but this guy's risen to the top of the villain heap just with, like, a couple of lines and an arched eyebrow. Like, he is the real villain of the piece.
Yeah, everyone can get a good hate into Perrin.
Yeah, I think I even hate the actor.
Yeah, he's got a struggle, but he's obviously had a lot of influence over his daughter. What's daughter Leanne? Leidra? No.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, he's very much just like, yeah, I know mum's a pain in the ass. Like, don't worry, I'll let you smoke. It's there's a lot of that kind of like going on.
He's smarmy, isn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, Mon Mothma is wound pretty tight. She's got a lot going on. So, I mean, I didn't even know Mon Mothma had a daughter as well, or a family for that matter. I think we spoke about that last time, that she didn't know she was married and she had a kid. But
do you reckon he's gonna be the one to dob her in? He looks like that type of husband. I
mean, he's definitely not that interested in what she does, apart from the fact he gets to live in a nice house and have nice clothes and things. But so what was she saying? She had she was starting a foundation or something, or
yeah, starting a foundation, and she didn't think he'd be interested because it's a charity.
Yeah, but he didn't disagree. It's just like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Do you think she pays the rent?
Oh, she owns that outright, I reckon.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about her background, but I think, wealthy families probably. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, nice. It was kind of funny because they sort of, they had the tension at the dinner table, and there was a little sort of bit at the end when they're in the limo. And then basically he wants to cut the ride short. At the end, he's like, "Hey, can you take the City Link home? can we zip home a little bit quicker here so I can get out of this car, please?" Yeah, I mean, I wonder if the foundation alludes to anything, whether it is some sort of front for something or a way of moving money around or whatever it is, and she's got to have legitimacy.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a laundering money. I mean, I'm sure she would be doing good with it, but that everything would have an opportunity for be laundering money through it.
Yep. Yeah. It'd be funny if we get to an episode where she basically just uses all her resources and money to fund the rebellion, and he's just left with nothing, and he comes home and all of the house is empty and all this stuff is gone, and he's just like, what happened to all that stuff? She's like, it's all gone through the charity or whatever it happens. So we touched on Moth. We'll circle around back to her should we need to, and then there's a little bit of interplay going on with the your favourites, Catherine, the ISB.
Yes,
the cool dudes in the white outfits. And we go back to the planets from the first few episodes, and you can sort of see that they're starting to set up shop there, basically. And I've got no idea of the name of the guy who's sort of running things, but he basically almost gets a lackey straight away.
Levin.
There you go. And he gets a lackey in straight away to like, hey, you like the idea of that little office building over there to run your operation out of? So we'll probably end up seeing some of the people from the first few episodes soon, I reckon.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be good. But I just love that, Blevin is very efficient and he's just over everybody. He's just like, when the guy's asking to be called prefect, he's like, I don't care. Just do it. Just do the job. He's just over everybody. I know he's imperial, but you kind of feel for the guy he's just over it. He's like, can we just get the job done? Just do it right. I'm over listening to your rubbish. Just do it.
I don't think it's his first rodeo as well. It feels like he's probably gone in at a few sort of, places where there's been a bit of a mild insurrection and kind of gone in there and put the clamps down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, God, do I have to do everything myself? Jeez Louise.
So you reckon, Dale, the Empire's going to start moving in there a little bit more, start kicking some heads?
How good was that TIE fighter, though? Just nice and low, skimming the surface of the water. Yeah. That was sweet.
Yeah, well, let's jump over to Clem and his mates. Clem and his merry band of I just worry about that young dude.
Karis.
It's just not boding well for that poor guy at all, is it? Really?
Are we feeling that? I think he might be a gentleman of a certain ilk. And if we're going to have any rainbow characters join Star Wars, this will be the place we have it. So, sorry, I'm getting onto my gay agenda.
Well, hopefully they don't just kill him off now.
Well, they were implying that with Cinta and Vel.
Well, because he said that, one of them's already sharing a blanket with somebody, didn't you know, because he said, don't, so-and-so, she's super tough, but yeah, she's sharing a blanket with somebody. Yeah. Did she specifically say who, though, or...?
The camera then went to Vel, and later on there was something as well. So, like when Tom, I can't remember his name, basically looked at Cinta to ask her, did she know or not? Had Vel told her? And she said, no, Vel hadn't told her. So, yeah, it's implied there that Vel and Cinta...
Right, there you go, Dale. Taste the rainbow, mate.
Yeah, but we'll take what we can get. We have to, don't we? But,
Mark one down. You take that one.
That young guy is called Karis, and I couldn't figure out for the life of me because he's really familiar. Yep. And then I looked him up, and he was in an episode of Black Mirror. The creepy kid with, there was some sort of angle where we felt sorry for him for the whole episode until we found out he was the villain.
I don't watch Black Mirror.
Oh, yeah, it was really good.
All right, we'll have to look him up. But yeah, he had a little manifesto. He had his little navigation thing, and then he burnt his model as well. Like all that model work gone to waste.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're telegraphing that he's going down, though, aren't they?
I feel like maybe the show's even too clever to do it, though. You know what I mean? Like the fact that we assume that that's the way it's got to go. That the young idealistic kid has to eat it at the end.
Yeah. But yeah, it was so sad when they put his model on the fire.
I know, you wouldn't want to be inhaling all that glue over the flames. You probably want to take a few steps back. But
I'm thinking of one of Ralph Wiggum's dioramas, but we'll move on.
Diorama Rama. Yeah, so, I mean, it was just a lot of sort of tension in the group. They're obviously, and Cassian sort of just said it really well. He's like, it's the day before the big show. Everybody's got too much time to think about it. There was a nice exchange between Cassian and the Catherine, you know all the names, sorry. The dude with the tats who doesn't trust him. Skeen. That he's sort of standing there and he's got the prison tats going on and they're sort of comparing experiences and stuff like that. He was a very interesting character as well. So he looked like he seemed most likely to derail it at any minute, really, didn't he?
Yeah, like going by all the heist tropes, he's sort of the one who will go, not so much go rogue, but go off the rails.
He's the loose cannon.
Yeah. I'm sort of putting bets on which one of his tattoos we'll see people tattooing themselves with at Celebration.
Oh, there you go, Catherine. There's one that you can get your first tattoo at Celebration. You can. You're going to get Diego when Diego signs your arm. You're going to get that tattooed, though, aren't you?
Oh,
she's like, now you've thought of an actual plausible situation where I might actually get a tattoo, and now I have to seriously consider what that might mean.
Can we say though that DL was really bringing the acting chops on that scene too, wasn't he? He was really, you remember how great he really is when they give him something beyond that pensive expression he had for a couple of episodes.
Yeah, and it was good that he basically was like, look, I'm sick of you guys all wondering like why I'm here and stuff. I'll just tell you. He's like, yeah, I'm paid to be here. Like, okay, if you want to get it done, then frickin' suck it up and let's do this thing.
Yeah, like that monologue. Yeah, I want to go back and rewatch it. It was intense. Talking about the intensity, that nervousness before a job. It was so good. And just, the episode, throughout the episode when they're at that little model talking about, well, how do you weigh the load of this ship? And Andor just sort of going, hang on, you don't know, do you? So he's sort of like going, no, this is starting to all rely on him. And
so I got a little bit of hand in this arrangement now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a bit just like, oh god, I'm with a bunch of freaking amateurs here. Like they really sort of, they've got some of this figured out, but they haven't got the whole thing figured out. What do you think those girls are up to during this heist? They seem to be a little bit evasive about where they are and what they're doing.
Well, I'm afraid to say now, after I got in trouble for using the word before. So,
yeah. So you hope that it's not something that many movies in the past have used women to distract menfolk.
Oh, you think they're going to be out there going, yoo-hoo? You think there's going to be a bit of that going on?
I seriously hope not. And I don't think the show Andor would do that. Maybe they are infiltrating another way, like because they mentioned like a dinner party at the governor's or commander's tower. That that's why people were moving furniture for that Imperial engineer, because you think they've mentioned that a few times. They're not just dropping that in there. It's got to be there for a reason.
Somebody of reasonable importance.
Yeah.
And let's hope that they're in to do something really clever, not just an episode of Charlie's Angels where they put on a couple of frocks and
like a maid's outfit or the waitress outfit sort of thing. Or
I think you're right, Catherine. I think Andor's too sophisticated for those tropes.
Yeah. Yeah, it knows which tropes to use and
which to subvert.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they sort of do it was quite a good scene where they practice the marching and stuff as well, and so they've thought about a lot of this. And Cassian goes on about hey, you should have your gun on you should be standing on that side, and that side it looks suspicious if the left-handed guy hasn't got his weapon on the right side and correct side. Sorry, for that matter.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of like little bits in the last part of that episode where they were kind of going, oh, he actually knows what he's talking about. Like he's got talking about the weight of the load, talking about the weapons, talking about why he's there, blah, 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 which is good because, I mean, you want that tension, but you also want you want to hope that they succeed and they're actually like on the same page before they start this thing.
There's a lot of clenched jaws in this episode, isn't there? There's a lot of, like you were saying, sort of ratcheting up the tension because even Deirdre looks like she's about to blow a bolt.
Yeah, well, so yeah, looking at that scene, it's the only bit we see are in where they're going through. It looks like files and going, okay, there's a thing missing from there, thing missing from there. I caught some of the names.
Well, they dropped Hosnian Prime in there, and they dropped Jakku as well.
Yeah.
I didn't recognise the other planet names. I'm not,
I thought they said Kessel.
Yeah, they did say Kessel as well. Yep.
Yeah, they talked about Hosnian Prime for a bit because they were the ones they've been doing this for 12 quarters, haven't lost a thing.
It's even more suspicious that it's perfect.
Yeah, and that comment where she said, if I was doing this is how I'd make it look. I'd make it look so random, so spread out.
What do you say? It's too random to be this random, basically? Yeah.
Yeah. And then she, something was popped out and it looked like she had, like Panadol and then a big swig of coffee or something. Yeah,
that was interesting, wasn't it?
Mm. I'm like, ooh, I recognise that. Panadol and some Coke. Yep.
Nice Diet Coke, please, in a round thing from Galaxy's Edge.
It was the end of a long shift, to be fair.
Yeah, I can't imagine the work hours are amazing. There's no knocking off at 5 o'clock at the Empire, I don't think.
Oh, she was trying to send him home, though. So she was glancing at a clock, which we didn't see. Have we seen a clock in Star Wars?
Well, there was the watch as well. There was a scene where someone had a watch on.
Mm.
I don't know how they measure time in Star Wars.
Yeah.
We need Alex Damon on. Who could answer that question? Or how is it work? Like, is it broken into hours or however they do it? I don't know. But
but it was like, she was going, it's the end of the day. You go home. He's like, no, I finish when you finish.
It's kind of funny. I don't really think that Empire people go home. I just always assume that I guess like off the movies, you just assume they're all living on a space station or living on a Star Destroyer, and they kind of just, it's like Battlestar Galactica. They just get some rack and then they're back on the job. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the sort of recurring theme that sort of felt like of this episode, and I guess also because it's like a prelude to not a finale, but like something's going to kick off basically in the next episode, is everybody's kind of just sort of being dragged along, or stuck in their situation, and they have to accept where they are, and they have to basically see it through, or they're basically in a situation that they can't get out of now. So like the gang are basically just about to do this heist, and it's so far along that they can't, they've got to basically see it through, and they're in this predicament. Mod Moth was the same. She's basically just like, well, I'm in this predicament now. I'm this far in, which is the same for what's his face, the guy living with his mum. He's just like stuck in this spot, looking for nothing I can do. I'm in sort of this situation I can't get out of, and it all sort of feels like it's sort of leading to when the tension becomes too much, and eventually something has to happen, and you need to push. Like, what's going to happen when you have to push? And I think that'll be similar to Mon Mothma. There'll be a point where she's just like, I've got to out myself. And then Luthen at the end, obviously, like he's just there waiting. He's like kind of almost powerless as well. Like this thing where it's like it's out of my control. The wheels are turning, and I'm just a cog in this wheel at the moment.
He's endlessly scrolling his phone, waiting for news.
Yeah. He's sitting there just like, refreshing Twitter, waiting for something to happen. He's like me this week during trade week, just refreshing the browser, waiting to see if any AFL trades are happening, and there's no news.
Yeah, what a treat to have such wonderful actors to play such small scenes, but give them that gravitas that it's so powerful.
Well, how good is Skarsgård's Luthen's assistant as well?
Oh yeah.
She's got a bit of fire in the belly. You can sort of see that she's sort of... I don't know if they've given too much information about her, but she's not just a shop assistant. Like, I don't know if she's
Obviously
a relative.
not.
She's, she's part of the cause.
Yeah, part of the cause. And it's interesting that behind closed doors, she talks to him basically as an equal, really. It felt like a very one-to-one.
Yeah, she's just like, hey, dude, chill out, or do this, or, it wasn't sort of like, oh, maybe you should just...
But it was good to see the close-up of the Jedi holocron and the...
Yeah, in the background on the shelf.
The background and,
he had some things on the desk table, and I'm like, are they lightsabers? I'm like, oh, no, they're just sort of like long, pointy metal things. It wasn't like... Because it looked like he had about 10 of them on the table. I'm like, oh, no. I mean, if you wanted to get a lightsaber under the table, he'd probably be the guy to go to.
Yeah, he's Mr. Find It. Yeah,
and then when you chop your fingers off, he pretends he doesn't know you.
Buyer beware.
Yeah, buyer beware. Once you bought it, too bad after that. So, so can we safely assume that we're going to get the heist next week?
Yeah. Seeing as basically in a way they've started in that they've done the signal to Lieutenant Gorn. And so they'll be moving into position, getting ready to go.
Yeah. I think it's also like 3 episode acts. So that would make sense, wouldn't it, to have that little...
Yeah, which also means that the whole run of it's going to run the episode as well. Like, I kind of thought, maybe it might start in this episode and then it will get stuck on a cliffhanger or something like that, but it doesn't seem to really work like that. It sort of feels like it resolves a bit and then gets onto the next bit. So I think we'll jump pretty quickly straight into it.
Yeah. See, I thought that this episode, the heist would start and then something would go wrong, and that's when the end of the episode would be. But we've just been all building.
Something will probably still go wrong to a point.
Oh yeah,
but
sure. Yeah, but it's so interesting. Like, it's, as I said earlier, it's filmed like a prestige drama, like your Succession, your Breaking Bad, all of that. This is what it feels like. And it should be acknowledged by, yes, by the Emmys, just like your Breaking Bads Was.
You'll
and
be starting your
Succession
Twitter
is.
account. Didn't Better Call Saul not win a single? One of the most nominated to never win an Emmy, though. So just don't they didn't win anything. Catherine's going to start the Twitter campaign soon.
Look, if they don't get nominated, then yeah,
The damn Academy's out of order. So clean them out. Time for some new blood.
I'm not out of your order. You're out of order.
So we're 5 down. We're almost halfway through already. We'll be halfway through next week, just like that. If this was a regular Star Wars series, this could be the last episode. Or what was Kenobi 6? Was Kenobi 6?
Kenobi was 6.
Mando's what, 8 or 9, aren't they?
8.
10? 8.
8. Yeah, and then Book of Boba Fett, was that 7 or 5?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
7. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a strange number, I remember. Yeah. Yeah, but I do like the feeling of that there's 3 episode arcs.
Yep.
3 episode arcs, which I remember them saying that it kind of became that because of breaking it down into the directors, getting the 3 episodes each. I think
like a movie.
COVID also had an influence on breaking it down that way. But it's a structure that definitely is working, and doing the episode lengths that they just like. Because I think tonight was it 45 minutes?
Yeah, I didn't actually
Something
check.
like that.
I forgot to check. Well, I mean, season 2 we already know is going to cover a lot more time, and they're going to break 3 episodes. They're going to be a year. So I think it's good to establish that now, to be like, all right, well, things are happening in chunks of 3, basically, as it is. There might be a time, we might do a time jump at the end of this episode, even if it is a month or something, or, whatever it could be. Yeah. But, we'll have to wait and see. I think we'll have to get all primed up for Heist next week.
Heist, baby.
Bring your Ocean's 11 soundtracks and whatever else. That's always the go-to on that. Cool. Well, I think we covered this pretty good. We get in, we get out, we do this. What's going on with you, Dale? What's Star Walking up to? Anything you want to drop or talk about related to that stuff? Is there going to be, have you heard any whispers about another IMAX screening for Disney for Andor finale or anything?
No, but usually the Rebel Legion find out because they want a bit of colour. Yeah. So it's in their forum usually a couple of weeks before.
All right. Well,
shall let you know if
I can hear a few people who'd like to go. I know we got the hookup from our buddy Steele last time. I don't know if he'll be here, but I think we'll do everything we can to try to get to that.
Although we'll get you in a Jedi.
Although it'll absolutely mess up my recording schedule, but whatever. Yeah, if I have to dress up to get in, I didn't even think of that. All right. Yeah. I was hoping as a. Do
you think they'll do it? Because what's the company that is promoting Andor? I can't remember the name of it.
Sonos. Sonos, doing the present. Yeah. Well, I think that was what they gave away at the Kenobi one. They gave away a soundbar or something.
Makes sense.
So, yeah.
And Hugh Fleming's done that fantastic artwork that came out a few days ago, and sort of did the rounds, and people then put it as the cover of an old EU book.
Mm.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So hello to anybody at Disney Australia who's listening. Your local content creators would like to do local created content, so hit us up. We're always down for that. Catherine?
Also, Catherine and I are pretty much working for Disney at this stage since we did score the ad.
Oh, that's right. You guys were... I forgot about that. Yeah, now. Of course. Yeah, you guys were on this... Did that get on StarWars.com, or was it just local Australia one?
I just saw it on the Star Wars Facebook.
So it was the worldwide one, though. It wasn't just the Australia Star Wars one.
Well, they only had Australian people, but I don't think it was, Star Wars Australia or Australia Star Wars or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know anymore. It's so hard to tell sometimes on Facebook. Yeah. Come on, Disney.
Well, there you go. Come on. You've been using paid promotions or unpaid promotions.
And I know that there are people who got Disney Plus subscriptions to watch all content, and I got them watching Andor. So come on.
Catherine, you need to sway in there to that premiere in one of Mon Mothma's outfits, like a queen, like the Andor queen.
Well, I went looking on her universe last night, which was a mistake because I was like, I want that, 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 I want that. Because I wanted Andor merch. Oh, there's Andor merch.
You know what it's like? It's like that episode of The Simpsons where Homer goes to hell and they're like, so you like donuts, do you? Well, have all the donuts in the world. And you're just there like being shoved Andor merch, like, blah, 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 trying to eat all the Andor merch. I remember how happy you were when we found a T-shirt at Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland. It was like, oh my God, this is real. And now it's going to be like, there's just too much. I can't do it all. There aren't enough days in the year to wear all the Andor merch.
What about those 6-inch figures? The Black Series.
Oh, yeah.
They look pretty nice.
Yeah, I haven't looked on Pop Culture or Zing or anything to look for a pre-order yet, but yeah, I better do that. And I better do the order of the Black Series one with Cassian and B2 Emo.
Oh, in the special box.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just sad because I have no money. And this is before I've bought things, I have no money.
Yeah, dear. I nearly bought the Obi-Wan Black Series from the show because it was discounted on Amazon. So there you go. If everybody wants the Obi-Wan one from the show, I think it was like $30 or something. So that's a reasonable price for Black Series, not this like $50 that some places are asking for these days. Nonsense, I tell you. Nonsense, I tell you. Great. All right. Well, always good to have you on, Dale. If you want to be on next week, just be on next week. We'll just roll this thing around the same time. If you can do it, you can do it. If you can't do it, you come on the week after.
I'll behave myself next week.
We might get some complaints. Go buy yourself a decent microphone while you're at it as well.
I will.
Catherine, we know we'll see you next week, of course.
Yes.
You've been doing the press tour. We talked about that last week. You've been out doing the press tour. You were on the Sith list last week with our buddies Araj and Les and Eric and Tom and Boo and Randy. And then you're also on my favourite, everyone's favourite, Blue Harvest with Hawes and Will. Anything else stewing, or you just done those ones for the time being?
And I did Star Walking live on Facebook our Sunday night, where I think I took coherently. I was very tired and, daylight savings are coming. So, having then an hour less sleep on top of a bad night's sleep, bad. It's bad. But yes, I was doing the rounds and I'll hope to hit people up because somehow I was on many podcasts and I don't think I repeated myself. But that's how good Andor is. And that's how good episode 4 was as well. Can we all acknowledge how brilliant episode 4 was, Aldani?
Stop living in the past, Catherine. We're living in episode 5 now, and now we're getting on heists. But yes, I'm sure you'll be...
On the goats! We didn't talk about the goats with the cool, 4 horns.
I'm trying to wrap this up here. We'll pick that up next week.
Goats!
I'll put...
Okay, all right, so what happened to the goats once they leave the camp? Do they just leave the goats there? Because...
They'll just let them go. They're just goats. They just eat grass. They eat grass anywhere.
But they've got to be taken care of,
They said there was other shepherds around. Some other shepherd like, oh, free goat.
As long as they don't eat them at the banquet.
Yeah, maybe they ate them on the way out with the model. Maybe it was being cooked over model meat over the fire. All right, guys, we will see you next week for episode 6, whatever that's going to be, Heistorama, as we're going to call it. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Dale.
See you, Josh. Thank you. See you, Catherine.
Thank you, Catherine. Bye.
Bye.